Hi guys, welcome back to episode 8 of Pixel Flicks. I am your host Brian, and with me as always, and I will say his name this time because his
Ryan.
timing is terrible, is Ryan. And every time we do this intro, or every time I do this intro, I always have movie podders in my head first, and then I have to I mean, it's not obviously that much of it's not that difficult to quickly change to Pixel Flicks, but I'm always thinking about it. And one day I'm going to say movie bottles, which is fine. How you doing? You alright? I feel like I don't see you that much anymore, or speak to you that much anymore.
Aye, well, I'm no ripping out of the nights as much as I once was, so aye, unfortunately. But no, all good here, just living the dream. Um, I think I explained to you just kind of briefly beforehand. I got a new desk for my computer today, and I chose to try and take all my computer apart and then put it back together again. Surprisingly, so far, I'm sure we'll probably find after this recording, there's loads of problems with the recording, but so far it seems like there's no issues, so it's all good so far. But yeah, that's
Nice.
that's as exciting as my life has got, I think.
Do you know what it makes me think of? That you can't play games as much at night anymore. Did you remember that there was a wee TikTok trend maybe a year or two ago, and people are just like, "Oh, my wife told me she doesn't love me anymore," and then you hear the wife in the background going, "I never said I don't love you. I said you can't get a PlayStation 5," and it's like same thing. That's how it kind of feels when like you say you're not playing with me in the evenings anymore. It's like really you saying I don't love you anymore.
I'm sorry, pal.
Nah, I'm only kidding. Nice. What you been up to? What you been up to?
I honestly can't think of a single thing.
Oh
The
my days. You need to
weekend,
lay off the drugs, man, because it's just melted your brain.
I know, just spending time with the cat. Um,
Yeah, wee Babs. Where is she?
I don't know, floating about somewhere.
Floating. She can float.
She's bold as brass now, so she's
Nice.
about doing something. But no, just it was a quiet weekend. Didn't do much, to be honest. I was considering going to a football game, but thankfully I couldn't get seats together to go to said game. So
Yeah.
yeah.
He says that you dodged the bullet.
Yes.
Nice. Nice, nice.
What about you?
Last week was just work. I only had a 2-day weekend this week, which I know that's what most people have, but I normally have a 3-day weekend. Um, Saturday was quite chilled. We kind of just took it a bit easy, went for a wee walk because it was nice here on Saturday. Like almost like oh, spring's coming. Like it was quite nice having a wee walk. We just went a wee walk around the block with the dog and stuff, but it was nice. Played a board game on Saturday night. We've been trying to play more board games this year, so we missed a couple of weeks at the weekend playing, or on a Monday even playing. But we played one at the weekend, watched some Gladiators and that, and then yesterday I watched 3 films yesterday. So I did 2 at the cinema, one at
Very
home.
nice.
Also watched a couple of films through the week as well, which I'll mention at the end of it. All um, well, I like them all. Like one of them I gave 3 stars, but the other ones I gave 2 4 stars and 2 5 stars. All great films. I'd recommend them all. I thought they were really enjoyable watches for different reasons, but really good. Yeah, we watched the Saga Wars last night as well. Just was alright. Nice, quite a nice tight award ceremony. It was only on 2 hours. It was quite nice. Like just sometimes award shows drag it out, don't they?
Yeah.
So it was quite nice. Just quite nice and tight.
Hopefully.
But today on the old pod, we've got a bunch of questions from like Papa Dog and Jack in the Box, and I think there's even one in there from Penguin Hill. Long time listener, first time emailer, Discorder. I'm not even convinced he's listened to a single episode, to be honest. I think he's just in
No.
the Discord and plays games with us, which is fine. Like, that's not a problem. But, like, I'll make sure he listens to this one just because he gets a shout out. So we're just going to go through them. We've got a bunch, and so we'll just see sort of how far we get with them. There might be some left. There might be. We might get through them all, and obviously at the end we'll talk about what we've been watching and what we've been playing as well. But before we do that, just a wee bit of housekeeping. follow us on Twitter at PixelFlixPod at x.com. Is that what it is? Is it just at PixelFlixPod?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
At Pixelflix Pod, pretty much on most things, I think, apart from Twitch, which is just Pixelflix.
Yeah. But we'll put all the links in the description as well. We're Twitch, we're Discord, we're YouTube as well. And whatever you listen to or watch this on, or anything you see, even if you don't listen or watch it, give it a thumbs up, give it a positive comment, just for the vibes. That'd be cool. Appreciate it. But first question, Ryan, and this is the one I've struggled with the most. So you take the lead on this, and you might be able to help me think of mine. If you could be in any film, which would it be? Would you be the main character in it, or just someone in the background?
So the movie that I have selected as a favourite of both of ours, I have went for Jurassic Park,
Noise.
and I
don't know,
would be.
I keep saying noise, and it's really annoying me. Like I'm annoying
What is that
myself.
from? Noise.
I know from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I'm sure it's in lots of stuff. Like Jake Peralta he's always like noise.
No, Jurassic Park, and I would be one of the employees who got off the island during the storm of the first movie.
All right.
So somebody who made it off safely, because then you've got a wee story to tell everybody, and you say, "I worked on that island. No dinosaurs were fine when I left."
Embellish the stories.
Yes. Yes.
I punched a raptor.
But
I thought you were going to say you would be the raptor. Talking about this.
Damn it. I wish I could change my choice now.
So I'm a bit disappointed.
No, I want to live in a world with dinosaurs, so put me in that movie, and
Nice.
I would be happy. Even just being a wee lowly construction worker who got off the island away and leave early because a storm was on the way, and then you sit back and watch everything that happens, and then you get laid off because InGen are going out of business. There you go.
Nice. I've kind of got two answers for this. One is like just generic, another one is specific. I think like the specific one, and just to have a big massive ego boost, would be to be Captain America in Endgame. Would be I want to pick up Mjolnir and fight Thanos with I want to throw my shield, and when it comes back I want to like do a forehand volley like it with the Mjolnir and hit the shield back into Thanos' face. That's what I want to do. And I just obviously we've not spoken about too much on here. Obviously spoke about MCU, but like my history with MCU, that Captain America is my favourite character in the whole of the MCU. I love him so much. And then my other thing is like it's any film, like this could be any film, like any sort of comedy film. But those characters where like it's like a guy close to the street, maybe he's a businessman or just like a hot dog vendor guy, and a taxi drives by and like soaks him, and then it'll cut to him later in the movie, and like he'll be going to take a bite of one of his hot dogs or something like that, and it'll all go down his suit or something like that. I want to be like that guy as well. I just think like this, like the nameless like unlucky guy. That's what I want to be like. Just like shakes his fist and stuff like that. Like it's like just because like it's kind of like a comedy trope. You don't see that as much anymore. At least I don't feel like I see it as much anymore. And it used to be like quite. I feel like maybe it's not happened that much, but I feel like that sort of thing happened all the time in films back in the day.
Yeah.
I was just thinking like New York City or something like, and that sort of like, that's what I think I'd like. I think that would make me smile.
Did there not something like that not happen in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness with Ash? Remember, because he's always in like a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's quite a good one. Aye. Yeah, something like that. Do you know what I mean? Just something like silly like that. That'd be good. But yeah, that kind of character that's just he's having a wee bit of misfortune.
You've made me want to go Thanos now, actually,
Just
because
so we can fight.
no, but
Yeah,
like
big purple bastard.
he's got like, see when you think about it, one of the most badass moments in like cinema where Thor has just implanted his axe into him, and
Yeah.
Thor thinks he's won, he's got him, and then he says to him, "You should have gone for the head," and boom, gone.
Yeah.
So good.
He's also like throughout the whole thing. He's like a lot of his wee monologues are great, aren't they? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
just very good.
The hero we should have had.
But not the one we need. That's a different franchise. Sorry. Cool. I like it. Ryan the Raptor and Brian the Buffoon. As Marvel comic readers, which Marvel character deserves to be introduced to the MCU that isn't in it yet? I would throw this out to DC as well if you've got any from DC that you can think of. I think we both probably know Marvel a wee bit better than DC. Not to say that we prefer it, but I think we've maybe just read more comics in that world. Maybe both of us. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but which Marvel character would you like? Because I don't have an actual answer for this. My answers are all characters that have already been kind of in the MCU.
Well, I have two answers for this one. One, I think it's been like a kind of fan casting for a wee while, which was Captain Britain. I would want Henry Cavill to
Okay.
be playing him. So get Captain Britain in the mix because us Brits are not represented in
Well,
the.
we're represented quite well in the MCU. Just they're all playing Americans.
True. Yes, true. So yeah, Captain Britain, but as I say, specifically only if we've got the what's it, Cavalrine to play it. So I
Yeah.
want Captain Britain. And the other one's because of Rivals. I wouldn't mind seeing because I've been quite. I don't really know much about this character, but I just like the character. She seems like she's got cool skills, but magic. I would quite like to see magic in the MCU. I think that could be quite a cool addition.
Have you not read X-Men versus Avengers?
No.
Good comics. So like basically like it's kind of like the Phoenix comes back, but instead of like Jean Grey's not there to like I guess Zuma or be taken over by it, and so it takes over 5 X-Men instead, different ones. So it's like Cyclops, Magic, Colossus. I don't know. I can't remember who the other two are. So Magic's quite in that quite a bit, and it's like, and then like it's also like Hope Summers plays a big part in like defeating it along with Wanda and stuff like that as well. It's quite good.
Nice.
Good comic. Hope Summers is quite cool. Hope Summers that actually this was an answer, but I'd love to see Hope Summers in the MCU. Obviously, we get hints of Hope Summer, and I'm sure we see a little girl at the end of Deadpool 2, which we're all meant to assume because Cable says his daughter's called Hope, which would really be his sister, kinda adopted sister more than anything, if that's like going by the comics, because my memory serves me right after House of M, when there's no more mutants, Hope Summers is the first mutant who's born, but I'm sure like it's more that Scott and is it Scott and Emma at the time, or is it Scott and Jean? I can't remember. They take her as their daughter,
I see.
hence the Cyclops surname. But Hope's powers are quite cool. She can use other people's powers when she's like with them. So she's quite powerful in that sense. Not the same way as like Mystique. She doesn't like change. She doesn't like change form. Do you know what I mean? She doesn't like turn into Wolverine, but she could have Wolverine's powers. So that makes sense.
What did the seeing X Men X Men 3, the
Yeah.
wee bald kid? Did they not have a something like that, or what was that about? Do you remember? I can't
No,
remember.
he was. Who was he? Wasn't he referenced more recently as well?
I'm not sure.
It's not Hope. No, because he took people's powers away.
Is that what it was?
Aye. feel like the Juggernaut's running through the walls, and as he gets into that room, he then bangs into the other wall.
Yeah. Just
You see,
on,
they were using him to try and like fix the mutant gene, weren't they?
yes, aye.
Uh, I'm
Just
sure.
on magic as well. I would have Chloe Grace Moretz as my magic as well. I think she'd be.
So Magic's been in a film. She was in New Mutants. She was played by that. Is it Anna Taylor Joy?
Oh, was she? Is that who Magic was in
Uh,
that?
And apparently, like as bad as that, I've not seen that movie, so I can't really comment if it's good or bad. But apparently, like she was good as Magic. People liked her as Magic, which I could see that she's got that kind of magic look about her. Especially like she kind of has a sort of Middle Eastern look about her as well, doesn't she? And obviously, Magic's from Russia, along with her big bro Colossus. So yeah, Magic's good. I think so. For me, it was just the X-Men in general, and obviously I know X-Men. We've had lots of Marvel X-Men films, not necessarily MCU, and I know it's kind of like a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's not even just like, oh, I just want the X-Men in the MCU. Like, I'm not fussed about like necessarily fussed about Wolverine or Professor X or Magneto. It's more the ones that I feel like didn't get a fair enough shake. So like, I'd love to see like a really good Cyclops in the MCU or a really good Gambit in it. Now, Gambit we now have seen in the MCU, like, but I'd like a as much as I'll do like the little Gambit role that Channing Tatum has in Deadpool and Wolverine. I'd like a little bit more of a serious Gambit like movie, or just at least character in the MCU. Not to say he's not fun, because Gambit's quite a fun character anyway, but he's not quite as um, he's not quite as dumb. No, maybe dumb's not maybe the right word. But he's not quite as silly as what Channing Tatum was, and I know that they were playing up on that, and that's fine. Like I said, I have no problem with that sort of adaptation of it. I'd just like to see a slightly different one, and I would not necessarily have any problem with Channing Tatum playing him again, but I'd just like to see it played slightly different. Um, but yeah, I love X-Men are my favorite comics. Like the animated series back in the day was my favorite, one of my favorite cartoons, and so I'd like to see a really good Rogue as well, because I think for me, like with the original X-Men films, Rogue and Cyclops were the two that were done absolutely dirty. Like with the portrayal
Mm-hmm.
of those characters. And so much so that I
Yeah,
think like people think that people who've only seen the movies think they're crap characters, and actually, for me, they're two of the best characters within X Men. Like, and I'd like to see like really solid like depictions of them in the MCU, and kind of like I think like had this question been asked years ago, like Fantastic Four would have been an answer as well. And I think
yeah.
I'm really haven't seen the trailer. I'm really hopeful for what we're maybe going to get. Um, in the future. Because again, I think there are other characters that people think are crap just because they've only watched a few movies, especially that last one. But yeah, yeah. Hope just when you mentioned like that stuff there, Hope Summers just came into my head, but she's not been other than that small reference in Deadpool 2. She's not been in it. Oh, you should read some of it. Like you should read like I always say there's a great little run, and you don't have to read all the stuff in between. But there's like if you read like Avengers Disassembled, and then go into House of M, then into um, Messiah Complex, and then there's a couple of comics after Messiah Complex that you could like, like Messiah Second Coming and Messiah War or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called. You could read them, but they're not as good. Like they're nowhere near the same standard as Messiah Complex. And then you could jump to like X Men versus Avengers, like that. Those like next like and you'd get like a decent like story and stuff like that. And it's like they're all really good. I think it's a nice. Like I say, there's loads of stuff in between that you could read as well. But I think just if you read those four, you'd have a nice like sort of complete kind of story that would be quite good.
Nice. I don't get time for reading comics these days, unfortunately.
I've not read one. I bought two just before Christmas. Bought one at Christmas and I bought one just before Christmas. I've not read any of them yet. They were like new ones as well. They're not like they're like I think one's Dark Horse and one's Image. They're not one's from Robert Kirkland and one's like from someone I just heard good things about it, so I picked it up. I've not actually read them yet. Nice. DC, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know DC well enough because a lot of the DC stuff I've read is just a lot of Batman, like
Yeah.
a lot of Batman and a fair amount of Superman as well. But like, I feel like I've read so much Batman. I've read more Batman comics than anything else, but like I've read a more variation of Marvel than DC definitely. Because the truth of the matter is that Batman comics are the best comics
Yeah, they are pretty good.
in my opinion. Um, Most disappointing movie slash game. You got two answers here.
Yeah, you go first. You go first this time, though.
So for movie, game I really struggled with, so I might see what you say and just take off it. But for movie, I was thinking about it, and there's lots of things I've been disappointed in. But like, if it's for me, I think it's the Hobbit films, and just because like how good Lord of the Things is, and it's not like the Hobbit films were like. Sometimes you get these really good films, and then like a sequel or a adjacent film comes along, and the person who directed it and created it the first time is involved, but they're maybe just an executive producer or whatever. But like Jackson made The Hobbit as well, and I just don't think it's anywhere close to the Lord of the Rings films. Like, I think making it a trilogy was uh, obviously I'm sure it was Warner Brothers that's Lord of the Rings, isn't it? If I
Yeah,
remember correctly,
yeah.
I'm sure they played their
No,
part, and obviously think
no, is it?
I thought it was Warner Brothers. Was that just because I've got wizards in my head? You're a wizard, Harry, and it's just
I want to say no. It's New Line or something, or what? Aye, aye,
I'm googling
aye.
it.
Yes, please.
I'm googling. Warner Brothers, get it up. Yeah, I was right. Um,
The Hobbit films.
distribution by Warner Brothers. Production company. Well, you're both right. Production companies: New Line Cinema, uh, Metro Goldwyn Mayer Pictures, and Wingnut Films, and then distribution was by Warner Brothers Pictures. Um, yeah, the Hobbit films are just like they're just such a letdown, like compared to the Lord of the Ring films, and I think like when you've watched that trilogy and you've loved it, don't see how you can't not be really excited for the Hobbit film from like I say the same like Peter Jackson, and then it comes out and it just feels a bit like soulless when in a way, and so it's just I think that would be my answer for the most disappointing film.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. It's one of those films that I think it's weird because Lord of the Rings, there's loads of CG, but one of my big things that I remember about the Hobbit movies was just the sheer amount of like CGI in it, like Azog and everything was all CGI, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think that just adds to like what you're saying about it feeling soulless. Like it didn't have the same depth that the original trilogy
And
had.
I think part of the problem is because they obviously bring in that new orc character that's not
Azog,
in the book. Is that what he's called? I say
yeah,
I would know on that. And he's so big that you can't make him. You can't. It can't be a human unless you're willing to do obviously camera tricks to like to mess with the size of characters. And then are there? I can't remember about the other like orcs and stuff like that. Are they prosthetics and makeup, or are they CGI as well?
in the film, I think it varies, but
All right.
I think it's
But
by
that's
and
what's so
large.
good about the first one. Like obviously it's the not only is it all makeup and stuff, but it's incredible like as well. Like the prosthetics that they use.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Fellowship was on here the other day because it was on Sky Movies, and I think it was on Sunday, and it was a bit where the Urukai was being birthed, and like just when you
Yeah.
compare that, it's just But that, like, just going on what you're saying about Azog, like, because he was so big that they couldn't do it as a human. Like, they did camera tricks and everything with the Urukai in the original trilogy, and
Yeah,
they're like
yeah.
menacing characters, and yeah, I think the CG stuff plays a big part of it because
And
yeah,
and and a 400-page book shouldn't be a trilogy either. Like,
yeah. Well, there was so much to it that Jackson wasn't supposed to be directing it. He was just involved in, I think, the production,
yeah,
and then because everybody else dropped out and studio were wanting 3 films instead of 2 films, it
yeah, yeah.
just spiraled into a shit sandwich.
Aye, indeed. Especially that top bit of bread, man. That number 3 garbage, man. Sorry, what was yours?
I had Batman v Superman. I had as a
Okay.
disappointing movie.
Yeah, yeah, I get that.
Because I think because especially at the time I was really into Man of Steel. I was like, it was that way. Man of Steel. I was really starting to appreciate for the film that it is. Um, and then that was like the first. I remember the first trailer for that as well. Seen it in the cinema. We might have seen it together and gone to see something. But
I think we might have been doing a pod at a time. Well, maybe not. It was before that. I don't know, but
yeah, like being absolutely like buzzing for it, and then again a bit of shit sandwich going into that where just felt messy. Didn't feel. I don't know. Just it didn't. It wasn't the movie we were hoping it was going to be. And I think it will always be remembered for the whole Martha stuff and all that. Um, so yeah, Batman v Superman. That was a letdown for me, and I remember coming out of it rather disappointed that we weren't getting
yeah.
the movie I wanted.
I think that's a good answer as well because like that probably didn't come in my head because I like Batman v Superman, but you're right. I was disappointed.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't as good as it could be, and I remember. Like I said, I don't know if we were doing a pod at the time back in the day, but I do remember us talking about it, and both of us being like, "Do you remember the bit in the trailer?" And Batman's like, "Do you bleed?" And you're just like kind of
yeah,
getting all excited by it. And
yeah,
obviously, Affleck looks great in the suit, at least in my opinion. I think it's great. And it's got some really good moments in it, but it's got some terrible moments like with the Martha, but like towards the end. But it's also got some really good moments and some really interesting moments. And obviously, Zack Snyder, he's got this thing where he does director's cuts, and sometimes they're better than what we've got. And obviously, if you watch Batman v Superman, I think when I watched the original, I gave like it 3 stars. But then when I watched the next one, like the
yeah,
director's cut with more Clark Kent, especially, I bumped it up to 4 stars. I think it makes a more coherent film.
yeah. It was
We get
definitely the ultimate edition or whatever it was called was much better.
yeah, and so I think there's a great the where is it kind of like a warehouse fight when Batman saves Superman's mum, like there's great action in it and stuff like that. But yeah, it was disappointing. There's a lot of even in the the director's cut, there's still some messy things in there and some um, it's not great, is it?
Nah.
Still like it though. I still like it. I think I'm just sometimes deposition. Is that the right word? Deposition, just to like, oh, I don't know. Used to like these films. Eh, what about video game?
So
Right.
quite interestingly, the two I've got 2 games here.
Okay.
But both I think are now good games, but started off. I think this is the thing with a lot of the games that I looked at because No Man's Sky popped up for me, and I was like, that. I think for the masses that was disappointing, but I liked it from the get go, and I think it's a game that's only got better as time has went on.
Yeah,
But the two,
I think it's just received well by critics and fans alike now. No Man's Sky,
yeah. But I think that's obviously the difference with a game over a movie is it's got the time to breathe and be
especially a game like No
improved.
Man's Sky, like it's got because it's like an ever evolving game. Like obviously we've just had a big update, haven't we? Like just what a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. But the
Uh,
two that I actually had was Fallout 76 because it's kind of just a reskin of, or not even a reskin. It's basically still the same game. A multiplayer version of Fallout 4. Um, I I think I did play that day one or early doors, and it was just really disappointing. It was quite boring, not a lot to do. The interaction you had with the players wasn't great as well. So, and I think it was quite hard to do things like raids and all the rest of it. So, it just kind of removed a lot of the multiplayer aspect of it. And
Yeah.
as I say, it's not improved visually on what Fallout 4 did. So it didn't feel like a big change. And another one which I did play for the first time the other week there was Cyberpunk 2077, because I think seeing some of the early stuff of that game, and the glitches and all that people were
It was a mess, man.
experiencing, yeah,
People's eyes out their head and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
it's crazy.
But playing it, as I said the other week there, it felt really polished. It felt like a very lived in world, felt quite real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed what I did play of it. So that's a game that I think when it first came out was quite disappointing from what I can gather by most people. I didn't actually
Yeah.
play it then, but now it's I feel like it's up to scratch.
I think CJ Project Red though I think The Witcher 3 was the same scenario. I think The Witcher 3 when it first launched was buggy and problematic and all the rest of it, and that's now widely known as one of the best RPGs of all time. Like it'll be a lot of people's favorite game. There's people who have put hundreds upon hundreds of hours onto that RPG, like playing it over again, and I think it's one of those ones where all your side missions feel like they matter, which can be quite hard for games to do. And I've not jumped into Cyberpunk yet. I will hopefully will at some point, but hopefully that's the same case for that game. Interesting. Mine's I didn't really know what to answer. I've not really bought a single player game, at least paid for one, and been like, no, I don't like this. This isn't for me. I mean, I guess what actually just once came to mind as I've said that there. It's probably the Avengers game. Actually, it is probably the one that I've been most disappointed in, just because it's just an IP that I love, and it feels like it's set up for a win for me. And just like I said, I've said on this before, even on this pod before, that the story I actually like. I think it's a good Avengers story. The gameplay is okay depending on which character you are. For example, I like Black Widow and Cap. Combat's quite good. Miss Marvel's okay. Hulk's is terrible. Iron Man's feels a bit clunky. Thor feels a bit clunky as well. And obviously, in the game, it switches between which character you are, and then just all the live service stuff is just it's not even it's not even like it's just what live service. It's not good either. You're just doing the same repetitive missions over and over again. Go into here, like defeat these bosses, collect all this stuff, and it's just crap. So that's a big disappointment. And another one I was going to say was just like the for me the kind of like what's disappointing, and this is more just what's been disappointing in gaming as I've got older. It's just the joy that's been taken away from the football genre. It's so, and obviously a part of this is that the FIFA's live service now. Do you know what I mean? You pay full price for it at the start of the year, but it's live service. It's like Ultimate Team has taken over with all your microtransactions and the need to have the best team and all that. And it's just like it's so joyless now. Saying that I actually played FIFA the other week. Now I only played it for 2 hours as I was waiting on Dead Space downloading, and it was fun because I knew I was only jumping on for like an hour and a half or whatever, playing a few games. Didn't care what the scores were. I was just like, I'm just going to jump on. And I actually think I won most of my games just because, like, probably because I'm so low down on the ratings at the moment.
Yeah.
But I just think, like, when I think of, like, PES back in the day, and that's why I said football genre, because, like, I include PES and FIFA, something happened when these games went online. For a lot of games, online was great, and for me, like, there's something happened with the joy of these games that just became like, it's like, it's almost like a chore to like go, oh, it's the weekend, I've got to do the weekend league. I've got to see get all my games in. But not only have I got to get all my games in at the weekend league, I better make sure I do my rivals matches as well so that I get my packs on Thursday. And it just became
Yeah.
like this sort of like, just like, I don't know. I mean, I can use that word soulless again, but there's just no joy in it. When I think of like, we were talking, I don't know if we were talking on the pod or we were just talking like when we used to go down to a friend's house at the weekend and we'd play like PES tournaments and we'd just like, we'd pick all the we'd all pick teams that we wanted to go, or if like we all wanted to go the same teams, we'd put the teams in a hat or whatever, and we'd pull them out, and like one of us would be like Manchester Red or whatever, or and just like, do you know what I mean? And you made your own fun with it, or even like no, it wasn't called Ultimate Team back on PES, but whatever it was, like you were playing
Master
against the
League.
computer, Master League, and it was just good. And FIFA used to do it good as well, and I don't know, just I feel like for me it's so disappointing that I'd love a good football game where it just felt like, oh, this is fun, like it's nothing more, nothing less. But I don't think we've got it at the moment. Because even
Yeah.
the people who play FIFA online hate it. Like, still, these like content creators and all the days moan about it, and I'm just like, man, like, and obviously it's a job, they're making money, so like, good on them. Like, I'd rather play FIFA and make money than do the job I'm doing now. But like, it just, and I think that's why FIFA's not changed, is because like everyone still plays it. You've got so many content creators playing it, and like so many people doing that weekend league that FIFA's just like, well, EA's just like, well, why would we change it? Like, we're making get loads of money. You're
Yeah.
still buying it. You're still buying the packs. Like, so there's no incentive for them to change it.
But they can have so much more money. I feel like if they, I don't know, like I don't know what they would do, but I remember when I was like quite hooked on it, and that was maybe 2019 or in that region anyway, and it was
Yeah,
just as you say, that's all you did. We were like, right, I need to get the games in to do these things and get these packs and do this and do that, and yeah, as you say, it does get a wee bit that way where you need to. It's a bit of a chore.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
One on, sorry, just one there, just whilst we were talking. That I think is maybe worth mentioning as well because it was such a big game, and maybe it's a testament to the fact that neither of us have probably mentioned it, but it's, for a while was probably both of us. Our most played game was the old Warzone, and
yeah.
how that's just fell to shit now and just isn't the same
No,
game. And
I think that's fair. I think you can also say COD in general as well. Just like the multiplayer side of it as well. I don't know. It's funny how these games, like, because they don't change that much. Like, but something has changed, and sometimes you can't quite pinpoint what it is that's different. But it's not giving you that same feeling that you had before.
no,
Cool. Next question. Games with the best narrative. I've got like 12 games here.
I'm guessing what we mean is the best story,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah.
an
That's it.
actual narrator.
No, yeah, narrative, not
No.
best narrator.
Uh,
Yeah, games with the best narrative.
I think
It's
well,
quite.
maybe
I was wondering if this question was going to be difficult for you because you like games like you spoke about this before. You like games that you've got a lot of agency.
Mhm.
So like Skyrim, Fallout, like The Forest, like, and even though there are like a main quest line in here, a lot of a lot of the fun in those games are doing the other things. Like, and then the main stories maybe, sure, not for everyone, but I feel like for a lot of people, secondary to like all the other kind of amazing stuff that you can do in those games. I don't know if that would be a right assumption from me.
Some of them, yes, some of them I like. I like that you can make your own story.
Yeah, yeah,
But if I'm sticking to ones that you need to follow the story that they have written and produced and all the
yeah,
rest of it.
yeah.
I have three. I think two of them will probably be on your list, but one I
Okay.
don't think will be because I don't think you've actually played it. But I've got The Last of Us I've only played part 1, so I only have that. But Last of Us
See,
stories,
I think
great.
you should do a recording of The Last of Us 2 from start to finish and put it on YouTube.
Maybe I will do
Just a,
that.
just a 1 hour a week. It'll
I
take you
will
about
try.
25 weeks. It'll take you about 25 weeks, but that'll be fine. Like, that's perfect.
Well, do you know I was talking about this just because you mentioned Skyrim there as well. I was talking about this on a recording I did today, and I was like, I don't know how many hours a gameplay are on Skyrim, but it must be like over 100 at the very least. Like just doing the main quest stuff and all that as well. Like you've got all, and then you've got all your side quests and all the wee stupid like mini stuff to do. So, but yeah, Last of Us Part 1 is amazing and obviously so good that they put it to TV and it was still just as good, I think, on TV. So Last of Us was there for me. God of War as well, the 2018 or 19 release.
18, yeah.
Again, the story of that was so good and so engaging, and I loved following it like all the way to the end, and even like I just like the way that they hinted towards things, and there was a wee bit at the end where this is not a spoiler because it's been out for some time, but Atreus is reading
Yeah.
like the story wall or whatever and finds out he's Loki, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh yes. Um,
It's just like when you're in the land of the giants at the end, at the end as well and stuff. It's so good. Like it's just
yeah,
such a like, and then as you're walking back down the credits, start like rolling as you're still like
yeah,
walking down and stuff. That's so good.
great storytelling in general
Yeah,
through that
yeah,
film.
brilliant. I
And then
think
the
as well, like
last, oh,
all the Gnostiology stuff as well is just
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Sorry, on you go.
no, no, on that as well, I was talking to Bailey, my stepson, and talking about how there's rumours that we're going to get God of War
The Greek.
Egypt. No, Egypt.
There's I so there's that. That's what they think the next one will be. But there's also rumours that the Greek trilogy is getting remastered as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Nice.
and people are unsure if it's like remastered, like so that like the way it was originally is like 4K HD, looks great, maybe plays slightly different, or are they going to do it in the form of the God of War 2018 sort of thing?
That'd be nice.
But I think there's an anniversary for God of War coming up in the next month or two, and people are maybe expecting some sort of God of War announcement then.
Well, I hope we get the Egypt one. I would probably rather see that because I think him in that setting would be pretty cool with all the Egyptian gods. So yeah, I would like to see that. I want Kratos
Yeah.
running up and down pyramids, basically, is what I want. But yeah, God of War, that was one I had, and then the last one for the narrative I have is Red Dead Redemption 2 story, and that's so good. And again,
Have you finished that?
yes,
Nice.
but technically yes. But such a good story. So it, I think you would really enjoy the story mode
I
of it all.
I I think I would. I own it. I bought it day one. I've played about 2 hours of it and then put it down and just.
The,
Uh,
the problem with it is like,
I
see, the prologue for it is so long. It's so
I
long to
listen in the
actually.
snow.
I hate that bit, but otherwise, like again, it's one of those ones that there's so much to do. The world is so vast, and I was watching. There was just a TikTok that popped up on my phone the other day there, and it was just somebody playing it, and they were just standing by somebody chopping wood, but the wee guy was telling a story whilst he was chopping the wood, and it kind of played into the bigger story that was going on elsewhere in the game, and
Yeah,
just the way that these wee stupid things track was just great. So yeah, once
yeah.
again, another great story and a good western story as well.
I've got so many games, and even like I said, I've got 12, but like there's like ones where it's like I've only put one game down, but there's multiple games in that franchise that I love the story. Um, yeah, Last of Us was on there. I'd put the Last of Us Part Two just for, but like the the both. I mean, if you ask me tomorrow, I might prefer the Last of Us Part One narrative. Like it's one of those ones. God of War. I did put 2018. As much as I do love Ragnarok, I actually really like the story in Ragnarok. I think it is a more intimate story in the first one, like just between father and son, and gets a bit bigger. And this, as it tends to do, each next one tends to get a bit bigger in scope, doesn't it? So the three I'll say, what am I going to say? I think one of the ones that I'll say is, and I think this is because this is the game that got me back into gaming proper, and I love the story. And just what I was saying, I never finished Red Dead 2. I bought it day one. I also bought Fallout 4 day one on the PlayStation 4, and I played a wee bit and never finished it. I think what the problem was for me is that I used to play games when I was younger, and I'd picked up the odd single player game, like that was maybe a short experience. Is that I had got into this like slump for years of just playing FIFA, Call of Duty, and Madden. That when I tried to pick up like Fallout and Red Dead, they were quite overwhelming, and I hadn't really played games of that scope before. So I wasn't like maybe ready to play them. Does that make sense? Like I feel like I needed to ease my way back into like gaming again. But like during the pandemic, like in July, Ghost of Tsushima came out, and I pre-ordered it like an hour before midnight, and just started playing it at midnight when it came out. And I was just like, from the opening credits, like the game opens like a this like sort of beautiful movie where you're on your horse running through this like long grass, and the opening credits are going, and it's just like so beautiful. And I was just hooked. It's about like it's about this island of Tsushima in Japan, and the Mongols have came and have invaded the land, and you're one of the few remaining samurais. And it's kind of just about getting the island back. It's also about honor as well, and what that means for a samurai, and is it important, and you can play in a way that's like there's not much agency in this game. Like it's an open world. I don't think it is an open world. I think it's a big sandbox, like a lot of open world games are. Now I think Fallout's an open world game. I think Elden Ring's an open world game. Skyrim. I think games that give you more kind of agency. Like for example, there's three parts to the island, and when you have to get through so much of the story before you can go to the second part of the the island, for example. But the story's great. But I think what I love about this narrative is like, now I don't know what happens if you don't do the side quest, because I did all the side quests. But the side quests are like you are recruiting people to join you in the fight against the Mongols at the end. And it's so cool that you've like one of them's like this like kind of monk character, one of them's an archer, one of them's been like their family's been killed by the what's the not samurai, what's the other sort of fighter in Japan? Oh, what they called? It's going to annoy me.
I don't. Bushido is the only thing I can think about. I think that's a form, is it not? Or I don't know.
Sorry, I'm just googling it because I really want to know. A Ronin, like so, like a family, like and so, like you're helping them solve these, like so, like for example, the archer. He had a student who's then like went rogue and stuff like that, and that's part of the story. And like the monk's brothers like died, and so you're helping these like with their little situations. But because you've helped them, when you get to the end and there's like the big fight, they all show up to help you. And if you feel like, and like I say, you could maybe not do these side missions and they'd show up anyway. I don't know because I didn't play it that way, but I really felt like I was like getting these people together for like just a bigger narrative, and you were like building relationships with them to go towards this. And I loved it. It was just so good. I'm buzzing for Ghost of Yoti, which is the sequel, but it's like set 300 years in the future. So, kind of, I guess, more of a spiritual sequel in terms of I'm sure there'll be hints to the past, but whatever. Sorry, I'm going off topic. Next one again is again, this is another game I'd love you to play because I played it and then I got Amelia to play it and I watched her play it. It takes about 10 hours. It's called Detroit Become Human. I don't know if you ever played Heavy Rain.
I think I may have played. I don't know if I've started playing that or something. That game, it's one of two games I'm thinking of. I know the cover. I can see the cover for Detroit, but I just don't know if I actually played it or not. But I know of the game.
So basically, like you play as three and there's three different androids, and you play as all three of them. I think it's Alice, Marcus, and Jacob. Jacob's a cop. Marcus was kind of like a carer, like, and then Alice is like these like sort of like house androids, so they sort of like look after the kids and tidy up and all that, and it's kind of like a commentary on like maybe race relations or like there ends up being like a civil war between the androids and the humans, and the humans have been treating the androids really poorly, and they kind of become like more sort of self-aware and more I don't know what's the word what's the word when like things become self-aware.
Sentient.
Aye, like so they like and sort of like and realize that they're maybe being treated like crap. And what's great about it is obviously at the start of the game, everyone's kind of going on the same journey, but then the choices you make obviously change your story. So like I was really happy with my story. Like in the end, like two of my characters died. One of them I was disappointed with how they died because that's not how I wanted it to end. One of them died, and I really like sort of like whilst they were liberating all the other androids, like which was pretty cool. And another one survived. They managed to escape like to Canada. And I won't go into more details because like whilst it might not be spoilers because some people could have completely different stories. Like it still maybe gives some idea of where the stories are going. But like, I watched Amelia play it, and all her characters died, and she was absolutely raging. And I just love that people can have these completely different experiences, and it's still like with it's such an incredible story, and you've kind of got you do have control over it, but you don't know what your choices you make and the actions that you make, what they'll actually lead to. Um, but one of the cool things as well is like when you play it, it'll be like you can check. There's after every chapter, you can see all these different branches, and you can only see on the branches. You can only see like the written what you've done. All the other branches are blank, but you can see if your friends that have played the game picked a different branch from you,
All right.
and it's quite cool. And then you can do a world view as well, so you get percentages. And this is where I disagree with Amelia because like she got an ending that less than 1% of people got.
Oh, really?
And she was raging. I was like, no, but that's amazing. Like you've had an experience
Yeah.
that hardly anyone else has played the game. Because I think I got an ending, and like 14% of people who had played it had got it. Whilst I don't know, I can't remember which one it was. I was happy with two of my endings. Like I think it's so cool if you can get an ending like no one else pretty much has got.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why I was saying I'd like to watch you play it or any of my friends play it because like I really enjoyed watching Amelia play it and seeing the choices that she made, like and how they were different from mine. Uh, And then the last one, like I say, I would have said The Last of Us. Like I've got loads like Uncharted and all that, God of War. I but I love Final Fantasy, and so I was trying to think of which Final Fantasy I would put on here, and could have went for 9, could have went for 16, but I think I've played the one I've played more than anything is Final Fantasy 7, and I've played like the original. I played the Final Fantasy 7 remake, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. I played one of the DLCs and one of the like add-on games to it and stuff like that. So I think the overall story of Final Fantasy VII more so leaning on the original, just because the remake stuff's not been complete yet. Part 3 still to come out, but just that whole like the one of my favorite thing about Final Fantasy VII games is the cast of characters and just how they're all brought into the narrative, and it's like it's kind of classic like good guys v bad guys, like the government are the baddies, like they're corrupting the world sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's not necessarily like they're not reinventing the wheel with their storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just hooked on the narrative. I absolutely love it. And I think the characters play a big part in that, and so it's one of my favourite stories in video games. Certainly my favourite cast of characters in any video game franchise, but that would be my next one. But there's loads.
Nice.
I love story driven games. They're my favourite games to play. I love like um I love it. when I've got a lot of agency, sometimes I get a bit overwhelmed and a bit, oh, I don't know what to do here, and so it kind of puts me off a wee bit. Not always. Sometimes I can get like Elden Ring. I think could be like that. I think you don't have to follow the story at all in Elden Ring, and that game hooked me. I couldn't get enough of it. I played through it twice. That's how much I've only played a handful of games twice, and that's one of them. So, but yeah, I do like a story-driven game.
Yeah, I think, see, for me, like, COVID, the COVID times killed a bit of the single player stuff for me, because I think probably prior to that, I did play quite a lot of single player games. God of War's maybe the only real one that I can think of that's post COVID. That, no, wait, that was pre COVID. So I still
Yeah,
another one then. Um, but I think like having Warzone, like that kind of thrill of multiplayer game,
yeah,
um, really hooked me, and I still get that now. Like with Fortnite, and then obviously Rivals at the moment. Like when if I get time to go on the computer, I think what I want to play, it'll be something multiplayer over single player.
yeah,
But that being said, like I'm enjoying, as I say, playing Skyrim just now. Cyberpunk was good when I played that there as well. So it's just finding time, but I don't know. It's weird. I
yeah,
think having like COVID's maybe changed all that for me in terms of what I enjoy playing these days. Now I've maybe got a different desire to play different types of games.
yeah.
Um,
No, that's fair.
but Final Fantasy though, I don't know what it is about that. I've never had an interest in playing Final Fantasy. I've no idea why. I think I think I maybe mentioned before. I think the art style puts me off, and I'm quite a petty person. So
Yeah,
I think that's enough to kill my interest in playing Final
I I
Fantasy.
just I just love Final. I love Final Fantasy. There's a few I need to play more. I've got it on my. I want to play 10 this year. I've not played 10. So 10 and 6. Like I think a lot of people. I think like the one of the great runs of Final Fantasy was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think a lot of people. I think maybe a lot of people would say eight's the weakest, but there's still lots of people who love it. But that's like, but I loved 16. I love it's 16 probably has my favorite protagonist in the Final Fantasy, like favorite main character. And also, I mean, I love the cast in 9 and 16, but 7's just brilliant. But yeah, I think like they're not for everyone, and that's the best thing about anything, though, innit? Games or movies, that what one person loves, someone else doesn't like. But like, yeah, I just love them. But yeah, 10's on the list. 10 or 6 is on the list for this year to play.
Nice.
Um, One more question, and then we'll talk about what we've been watching and playing. Yeah, so what single film would you advise someone to watch? Doesn't have to be your favourite, but just a film you think everyone should watch.
I have two for this.
Nice.
So first one, the first film that came to my head, and in my head for this was Whiplash. Um,
Great
I
film.
don't, I don't really know why it does always all the time, but I think just the experience I had watched it for the first time, it was a special film, and excuse me, I think on rewatch it is still a special film. Um, just the acting in
It's
it's amazing, the music, the
it's such a
direction.
geek. It's such a film for movie geeks, though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
or like movie wankers, like us.
but I think it's one of these ones as well. If you're a music lover, then you can like that
Mhm.
film as well because the music in it is so good. Um, yeah, there's just so much about it, and
Yeah,
I've spoke about it as well. I think the experience I had watching that film for the first time, where it was a secret screening. I didn't know what I was going in to see. I
yeah,
had heard nothing about the film, and then I think for the first half an hour, maybe more, I sat and it was like that way. I was kind of like gripping the seat.
yeah.
Like I actually remember consciously
But
saying,
you,
I need to let go of the seat here."
What's the director called? Damien Chappelle, was it?
Chazelle.
Chappelle. That's David. You got like a little bit of a thing for him after like La La Land and Whiplash, like if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I
well,
think you.
I think there's certain directors out there that once I watch one of the films and they've got a distinct style, maybe
Yeah.
and then they come out with another film, I'll give it another look, and if they get me twice, then I'm like, all right,
Aye.
I'm in. So Nolan was
Aye.
probably like my first one with that type of thing.
Spielberg.
Yeah, yeah. The thing
Spielberg
about
without knowing it, like.
yeah, but like Spielberg's like one of those ones like
Aye.
he's got such a varying style, but I think
Yeah.
like you could probably pick out
Yeah, no, of course.
Denis
Like
Villeneuve.
Tarantino is another
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah. So yeah,
No,
so
Whiplash
that
is so good. But like what I was saying about like for people who are like geeky about movies, like what you were saying there about like the acting is so good. Like J.K. Simmons playing that asshole, like who you know he's a knob, but for whatever reason you're so drawn to him as a character. Like you're not so much rooting for him, but you can't wait to see him on screen again. Like
yeah,
and then like just like the little choices, the fact that Miles Taylor is in every scene. Like there's not many films where like an actor's just in every single scene, and then just like like you say, the music is just like phenomenal. Like it's so good.
yeah. Like
Great.
I'll just like randomly bust into Whiplash every now and then, and just
Yeah.
aye, it's so good.
So Amelia collects vinyls, and we we buy some together. I'm not that fussed on it, but the ones I like to buy are like movie related ones. So we've got the Whiplash vinyl down the stairs as well, and
Very
it's just
nice.
it's the score is or the music in it is so good.
Mm-hmm.
What's your second one?
Second one is probably more if you're. I feel like it's a film if you want to examine films and how they should be made. It's Saving Private Ryan. So touching again on the old Spielberg, I think Saving Private Ryan's an incredible film. The scale of that film, the level of production, direction, acting, visual effects, everything about it's like flawless in my
Yeah,
opinion. Um, Even for somebody who's not American, it makes you feel patriotic about certain things as well. And yeah, it's just got a bit of everything in it. The drama, the backstabbing by the wee German guy, and then Upham being a
yeah.
wee yes.
Right, so
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
So much about that film's just amazing, just absolutely amazing, and
Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse. No,
yeah,
but Saving Private Ryan's is great. I remember like it was on. It must have been an anniversary a few years ago. My dad was down in Sheffield, and me, my dad, and Amelia went to watch it, and it's um, like it's that movies is something like me and my dad's probably like it's the thing we've got in common the most. Like my dad won't say anything's good. He'll always just be like, "It's all right," but he watches so many movies. Like, and he'll be like, "Oh, have you watched this?" Like, so it's like because my dad's like, oh, he likes fishing and cars, and that's what my brother likes. Doesn't like football or video games or anything, but he likes movies. So I like going to cinema with my dad.
hmm
No, great, two good choices. Mine's would be I've got two. One specific for Papa, because he likes Ryan Reynolds, and he might have seen this already. So if he has, then apologies. But Ryan Reynolds is in a film. Ryan Reynolds does a lot of the same films, and I like Ryan Reynolds shtick or shtick, whatever you used to call it. Like I know what I'm signing up for. It's probably more often than not a 3-star movie, and I'm alright with that. But he's in a wee film called The Voices, or just maybe it's just Voices, where it's more of a dark comedy, and he's playing someone who is probably a vulnerable person that they have to take medication because they're not well. But when he doesn't take medication, his cat and his dog talk to him, and his dog's like his cat's Scottish, and his dog's like kind of like, oh, you're tell me I'm a good boy. Like he's a pure like stupid dog, right? But the cat's like excuse my language here, but the cat's like telling him to kill people, and he's like, cut her fucking head off, like, and so he starts like going with these women and killing them, and he just like keeps them in it, and he'll keep the head in the fridge, and then he'll open the fridge, and the head will talk to him and stuff like that. But the film kind of gets a wee bit more sinister because, like, and not so much that he's obviously killing people is really sinister. It's not like it's worse than that. But he stops taking his medication, and you see that his house is full of like cat shit and dog shit, and there's blood all over the place, and it's an absolute mess. Whilst he's on his medication, the house looks nice and clean, and you start to think, oh, this guy he's no well, like. And he gets into a relationship and he actually likes her and he doesn't kill her, but then sort of things unfold and stuff like that. And it's just a bit different for Ryan Reynolds, you know what I mean? He's not playing that just like sort of like either idiot or like sort of smarmy, good looking guy, do you know what I mean? And I think it's a nice wee change of pace, and I think he's good in it. It's not like top tier, but it's a good little film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one I would recommend, especially if you like Ryan Reynolds, just to see him do something a wee bit different. Do you know what I mean? Another film is from it's funny we were saying about Damien Chazelle there. You get these directors and you sort of like, oh, you watch one and then you watch another. And this is a director from it's I don't know how to say his name, but it's Hirokazu Kurita. He did a film called Shoplifters, which is a Japanese movie, and I just absolutely, as soon as I watched that, I fell in love with it. It's one of my favourite films of all time. Then I watched another film he did, which is Broker, which is actually it's his first time doing a Korean movie. And I really enjoyed that as well. Not as much, but I still thought it was brilliant. But Shoplifters is just basically it's a bit of family of shoplifters. There's this family who are in Japan and they're quite poor. Like they shoplift to get by. They're obviously not doing something that's right, but they're stealing like shampoo and stuff so they can wash their hair and whatever. They're not like robbing banks or anything like that. And they live in like obviously a really poor area in Japan. And then, like, one day as they're coming home from shoplifting, there's this wee girl sitting outside her house. It's raining and she's crying. And they just take her. And they've obviously kidnapped this wee lassie. But her parents are, you know that I'm pretty sure before that happens that they've been walking past and you can hear the parents shouting at the kid and all that. So they're not nice to her. And obviously, she must be about 4-year-old and they've locked her outside the house in the rain. So they're not good parents themselves, do you know what I mean, who would do that to a child, and they just take her. And what the film does so amazingly is like it then just shows you these people and this wee girl living their life. It's like a guy, a woman, a wee boy, and a gran, and they're all just, and then the wee girl's in there as well, and they're all just living their lives, and they love this wee girl, and you kind of forget that they've just taken her from someone. And it's all like, and what I love about like films from like Japan and Korea is like they're very good at like sitting in the grey of it all. Like I feel like films, like Western films, it's very much like here's your good guy, here's your bad guy. Whereas this film's very much like here's these people, they're very flawed. Like the parents of the child are very flawed. These people are very flawed. They've kidnapped the kid, which is obviously a horrific thing to do. But it makes you root for the people who have kidnapped the kid. Because actually, like, they're given, even though they've got nothing, they're giving her everything she's got. Mm-hmm. It's just really interesting. It's not till you get to the end of the film and it's all brought back up again that they've kidnapped her. You're like, holy shit, they took that kid from those people, like, because you just like get so drawn into it, and nothing really other than like that's a big thing that happens, but it's just like 2 points. It's just 2 small moments in the film because the rest of the film is just them living life, like. There'll be things they're just eating their dinner and it's raining outside. They've got the doors open and the rain's falling. But it's just like the way it's done is so good. I absolutely love it. I think it's incredible. I'd recommend everyone to watch it. I love it.
Yeah, I remember can't remember the name of the podcast, but remember listening to Mark Commode talk about it a way back a good few years ago now.
It used to be on Talk, didn't it? Before
Kermode
it got
and Mayo.
cancelled. Kermode and Mayo. Yeah, I used to listen to that as well.
But yeah, he used to go on about that quite a lot, that film, and I need to watch it. I'd be finding the time to do that because I'm not sure. I take it it'd be subtitled, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think like so. Obviously, I said earlier on. I've been making a conscious effort to watch more foreign films. I've watched 3 this year now. But you do have to be like, oh, I'm locking in. And I know that sounds silly, but actually, like, funnily enough, I was listening to Here Comes the Guillotine podcast today, and Frankie Boyle was talking about how, like, when people get home from work, they don't want to watch difficult things. They just want to watch, like, something that's familiar and something that's easy, because, like, you've been at work all day, like,
Yeah.
you just want to be able to zone out and relax. And so, actually, if you've been working all day, and then even you and Charlene, when you get to the weekend, you've got the Waynes. And so when it gets to 7 o'clock at night, you just want to put on Gladiators or, like, I don't know, the 1% Club, whatever you're watching. Do you know what I mean? Like, something that's just dead easy, instead of putting on a Japanese movie where you're going to have to, like, make sure you're fully invested because you need to read all the subtitles so that you know what's going on. And that's just a wee bit harder to do when you don't have as much time.
Certainly is.
Yeah, so that with movies. Just, I guess, before we go, what you been watching and playing? I've got loads. So
Um, so playing just Skyrim and Rivals. That's pretty much it.
Rivals was great on Friday night there, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think
I've
that's I think that's maybe the most fun I'd ever had on it.
yeah, I keep thinking about it, and I keep thinking that was a good laugh, and it was like I said to you, like I've been trying to obviously make an effort not to come on at night just because I end up ripping the arse with it and been on for
Yeah.
way too long. But I didn't mind being on as late as I was still a night there because it was just great fun. It was so good.
But I thought we were all playing well as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it felt like we were having good games too. It wasn't just like it was a good laugh. Like, those games where, like, the three of us were, like, absolutely, like, we were like the three best players in the team sort of thing. Like, it was good.
Yeah. So no, just playing that. As I say, playing Skyrim. Really enjoying playing Skyrim again. It just feels so good, and it's just one of these games. The music and everything's it's just like home. Watching, I can't think. Oh no, sorry. So a film I've watched. It is an old film. I don't know if you've seen it before. It's called Nick of Time.
No,
It
I've not seen it.
stars Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, what, good
It's
Johnny Depp or bad Johnny Depp?
in the 90s. It's a on this viewing. It's probably more
I've not seen it,
rubbish.
but I recognise that poster. So I do.
It's not as good as what I remember it to be from back in the day, but still, it's a nice kind of 90s,
Yeah.
90s movie. Johnny Depp he's returning from a funeral with his daughter. He gets off the train, and these two people pick him up and basically tell him, take his daughter off him, pretend to be like law enforcement, take his daughter off him, and then tell him, you need to kill this person or we'll kill your daughter, basically. So that's the story of the film, essentially. And then TV, I've been watching quite a lot of Yellowstone. I've got into Yellowstone.
I've seen you talking about it on WhatsApp. For
Charlene, it was a Charlene main. She was maining it, and then I kind of dipped in every now and then, and I was like, one of those ones where I was like, I don't like cowboy stuff. I'm not interested in it. And then I'm like, oh, you can put Yellowstone on if you want. And then I'm like, can we put
yeah.
Yellowstone on? So, aye.
It's
So,
funny you say like Charlene watch it, because the amount of shows I've vicariously watched through Amelia, like,
yeah.
so she watched Succession, and I've not watched it, but I've seen 20 minutes here and there, and every time I sat down, I was like, this is quite good. I probably should watch this, but I'm just like, I'll just be like, and so why is he doing it? Like, being that
Aye.
pure annoying person? Do you know what I mean? Like, that I
Yeah.
would get annoyed about. I'd be like, just watch it with me if you want to ask all these questions, but I turn into that moron. Nice. Yeah, Yellowstone. I think my dad. I don't know if he watches that one, but there's two spin-offs. I saw was it you and Bryden and Hoggy talking about it?
Aye.
Spin-offs. I don't. I think he watches one of them, but doesn't watch Yellowstone, which I don't know why. But he was asking me the other week if I was watching it, but no. I need to maybe give it a go at some point. I'm sure I'd like it. I'm sure there's so many TV shows I'd like, but with, like, talking about limited time, to, like, my go-tos are games and movies. TV kind of takes a bit of a backseat for me. Now, The Last of Us is coming out in April, and Andor is coming out in April as well now. So I'll be back on the TV scene then.
I haven't even had a chance to watch that. Was that a trailer you posted in the Discord?
Aye, looks great. The music choice is terrible.
Right, I need to have a wee
It's like
rosy.
I don't know if you'd call it a pop song, but it's a song that's like it's just a song, and I'm like, I don't want a normal song for the real world in a Star Wars trailer or film of any kind.
Yeah,
And I know that might sound silly, but it doesn't. Those songs don't belong in Star Wars, and so
no,
I wasn't enjoying that in the trailer. But it looks like they've upped the production as well. And I thought Andor was good production, like compared to a lot of the other TV shows, but this looks even more money's been put into it. There's also a
nice.
character back that I didn't know was coming back, which I'm quite excited about. Um, yeah, so I've watched. I'm playing Dead Space and Avowed, and really enjoyed. Dead Space is brilliant, unbelievable. I've only played 3 chapters. I'm kind of playing a chapter a week just because like quite intense, and I'm quite enjoying just like I'm always treating it like a TV show. Like, oh, I'm tuning in for Dead Space chapter this week, and the chapter should probably take about 45 minutes, I think, but it probably takes me about an hour and a half because I'm taking so slow because I'm just so nervous going in all the corners and all that. But that's what I love about it, though. I love that it's so tense. Um, and I'm playing Avowed, which is it's good. I'm probably like there's a lot of discourse online. Lots of people love it, and some people say it's a big slop, which because like, but I don't. I feel like saying it's rubbish is just a it's just a but really bad um, analysis of that video game. Saying it's great, I can maybe get along with more. It's just I'm not finding it great. I'm just enjoying it, but I'm enjoying it enough to keep playing. I think I'll finish it. Um, I just might have to bump it down to easy at some point, not because the combat's that challenging, but the side quests are optional, but you do have to do them to level up your character to be able to continue with the main story. And so, whereas I feel like if I get to the point where I get fed up with the side missions and I just want to get to the end, I might have to bump the difficulty down just to get to the end. But at the moment, I'm still happy doing all the side missions and stuff. I'm still enjoying all that. So we'll see how it goes. I've watched loads, so I'll be quick. First film I watched last week was Wicked. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was excellent. Great film. She won't get it, but I would give Ariana Grande the best supporting actress. And I don't like it when when like artists or musicians get cast in film because I just think like what they doing in films get an actor in it, but it's the most fun performance I've seen in years. I think she's brilliant in it. I really do. Um, then I watched Conclave, which is brilliant, 5 stars. Which is about like, do you know what Conclave's about?
I think you spoke about it the other night when we were
It's like
online.
the Pope's died, and they've got all the cardinals together, and they're voting on a new Pope. But it's just like a bunch of like I saw someone describe it as like a bunch of divas like backstabbing and bitching for the top prize. It's practically RuPaul's Drag Race. Like it's just like so like it's so good, man. And it's all just that wee like bitchiness in it, and like people try to deceive each other and just being quite nasty. Like this really goes. I'm sure goes on. Like it's not hard to believe that goes on in the church, is it? It's really good. And then I watched 3 films yesterday. First one was I'm Still Here, which is the my favourite film of the year so far. It's a Brazilian film. It's based on a true story, which I didn't know until the end of the film. But basically, in the 1970s, and I didn't know this about Brazil, but Brazil was like occupied by the Brazilian military, and basically, the film is like the dad of this family who are this just like really charismatic family and really fun to be around for the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the film. And then all of a sudden, the dad just gets taken. These people come into the house very calmly. It's not like a big, like, bust the door open sort of thing. It's just that these guys to see it, and it's like, oh, we're taking your husband, go get dressed. And they're very, like, it's all very calm. And he just never comes back. And so, like I said, it's based on this true story where, like, and the whole story is about how the mum, like, I'm Still Here, it's like how she keeps the family together, like, through this. And then it jumps forward in time and all that, and they get some. But it's just like, and when you get to the end of the film, and I won't say much more because I think like there's stuff to like find out in the film and enjoy it for yourself. But when it gets to the end of the film, it sort of talks about this history and how like there was hundreds of people who just went missing and their families never knew what happened to them and stuff like that because like he was an ex-congressman and he was like he was helping send letters to the people's family of people who had been taken to try and give them closure or try to keep them updated on what had been happened to their loved ones. And there was other people he was working with who helped provide clothes or who helped provide shelter for these people who were, I guess, being oppressed by the Brazilian military. And it's just something I never knew. I never knew that part of history. Like I never knew that sort of thing. That thing went on, and not too hard to. I mean, if you told me that, like, I'm not surprised like something like that has happened in South America. It's obviously known for a lot of dictatorships in South America, so but it's just something I wasn't aware of at all. Brilliant. Then I watched.
Just on that, have you seen City of God before? I'm sure
Yeah,
you
so
have.
it's the same director.
Is it? Right, okay.
Aye, same director. Which I found out like obviously like so when you watch a film you love it, you start like googling it and stuff and finding out more about it, and well, it's the same guy that did City of God. Yeah, City of God, Benny, one of my favourite characters in films. So good. Yeah. Yeah, and so I would recommend it. I thought it was brilliant. I think is it Fernanda Torres or something like that? I think she's called. I think I've seen all the lead actresses now, and she's not going to win it. It'll be Demi Moore probably that wins the Oscar, but for me, she should win the Oscar. I think she's incredible. But I don't think she'll get it. I think I would. I've not seen The Brutalist yet or Nickel Boys. They're the only two films I've not seen. It would also be my pick for Best Picture as well. I'd be quite happy with Conclave as well because I really like that. Then I watched Nora, which is also up for Best. We've been trying to watch all the Best Pictures. It's up for Best Picture. Great film. Not what I expected. Have you seen the trailer or anything for Nora?
Nope.
So Nora's like she's this girl. She's a sex worker in New York. I think it's around about Staten Island area. I think, or Brooklyn. I can't remember quite which one. The reason I say Staten Island because there's like a boardwalk and there's like I'm sure there's like amusements and stuff like that. And is that not all like Staten Islandy type thing?
I think so.
If I and she's a stripper, she's a sex worker, and there's this Russian kid comes in and he wants someone who speaks Russian. She speaks Russian, and then he asks her, does he do like private calls? And to cut up like for about 25 minutes, it's just them hanging out. He then asks her to marry her, and she says yes, right? And up until that point, I was just like, oh, this is okay. I don't understand why it's so great. But then like he lives in America, but he's got like his mum and dad are really wealthy. And I don't think they're quite gangsters. I think they're business people, but they're maybe a bit dodgy, right? And his mum and dad are no happy that he's getting married, but you've not met them yet, you've not heard from them. But he's got people who look after him. The family get them to look after him, and they come to get him to get the marriage annulled. And then he just runs away, just runs out the house and run away. So then she's left with these three guys, and it turns into this like mad kind of like. Have you seen Uncut Gems?
No, I started it but never finished it.
It's like Uncut Gems meets The Hangover, like where they're looking for this kid throughout the night with her, and it's just mental. It's like an absolute like it's a proper ride. Like it's like it turns into this really like funny like drama. Like it's so good, but the thing that puts it at the first 25 minutes that could have all been done in 10 minutes for me. Like get them just do like a nice montage instead of like more drawn out scenes, like montage at 10 minutes and then get to because once it gets to this it turns into a different movie and it's like I say it's like a proper ride. Loved it. And then when I got home we saw both of them at cinema and then I watched Rebel Ridge last night on Netflix. Action film. Been wanting to watch it for a while. I saw Chris Hewitt and Amon from the Empire podcast talking about it. And that Aaron Pierre guy who's in it, he's like the main character. He played Mufasa and stuff like that. It's good. It's like a 3-star film. It's just a classic. Like the guy's going to town to like Bailey's cousin out of prison, and as he's going in, like he's on his bike and the cop runs him over on his bike. But it's like it turns out the wee town his cousin's in prison, and it's like a proper. The cops are like running the place, and they're all like bad, and he sort of like tries to be like he's like an ex like he's like a. He's the person who trained all the Marines in martial arts and all that, and so he's like proper equipped to like take them out. It kind of becomes that, and it's fine. He's very good in it. He's very like he's quite a calm character, and he's got quite a good presence about him. And that's what like Amon and Kashyap were saying. Like he's like potentially has the ability to be like the next action hero sort of thing. Like he's got that. He can carry himself as an action hero, and it's good. But it's not anything you've not seen before. It's just for me, it's a 3-star film. You put it on, you watch it, and then forget about it, kind of thing.
Nice.
Sorry, I went on for quite a while there. I've
Quite-
been watching a lot this week.
Quite all right.
But me and Amelia were buzzing after yesterday. Do you know, like when you go to watch something like, and then you're reminded of why you love like movies or whatever. Like, because the 2 movies we saw, I'm Still Here and Anora, we were both like, these are just like brilliant, man. Like, because I think as well before we went to see I'm Still Here, I think we were both a bit tired, and we were both like, I don't know if I can be bothered going to cinema, but we went anyway, and then we were pure glad that we did because we absolutely loved what we'd seen. So it was cool.
Nice.
Nice. Anyway, we should probably wrap it up. I know we started with a noise, so we'll finish with one. Yeah. Loved it. Sorry, WhatsApp messages are coming through on my computer. Yeah, good week for movies. And so we'll wrap it there though. Sorry, I'm just talking shit now. Thanks for listening. For all those questions, maybe we could put the questions in the description.
I'll put it in the description. I don't know about a title.
Title just like Q&A, a nice Q&A. Do you know what I mean?
Q&A sounds perfect.
But like if we put the questions that we answered in the description for people to answer themselves. It'd be nice to hear what other people do, like on YouTube and stuff like that. If you listen to on Spotify, like how would you answer these questions? And we might put them in the Discord after a few days of the pod being up, give them a chance to listen, and get the guys in there to answer the questions as well. It's nice to hear because that's what we want, innit? We want to hear what other people think as well. Like,
aye, it's always good. It's always good getting a bit of interaction. Like we had a wee moment on the stream the other night there where the channel got raided, and then we were talking to like some randoms, but they were one of them at least was Scottish, and it's just a nice wee bit of interaction. So it's always good when you get things like that happening.
No, I was saying to Amelia as well. It's so funny. Like obviously the people that came in, one was Scottish, and then the one person that was from America. Well, maybe more, but like the one person that spoke was from America. It's the one place I've been loads.
Yeah.
So it's just like that was quite like a nice wee thing, because then it just makes you like reminisce about all the times you've been there and stuff like that, which is quite cool. So yeah. Thanks for listening. Like I say, please leave a like. That would be really good, and a comment. If you have listened to it, because that helps it. Apparently, that helps it go elsewhere to fall onto more people's ears and eyes. So have a nice week. Hopefully, me and Ryan will play games together at some point.
Hopefully.
Bye. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.